Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis R. Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis R. Cohen.
Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. I got just finished with a whole sneezing fit because here in Georgia, our pollen season has started. And so I don't know how many times I sneeze, but anyway, that's why you're hearing me sound so stuffed nosed. But anyway, I want to talk about something that hit me a couple of weeks ago. And I typically plan ahead at least for a couple of weeks, for my podcast topics. And one of the things that I happened to have been experiencing was I was getting stuck in the weeds and I couldn't get myself out of it. And I was worrying about all these things. I'm like, what am I doing here? And so I started to pull cards. I'm like, how do I fix this? What do I do? And then I started to journal. And what came forth was, Janis, you need to see the bigger picture. And so I thought, you know what? If I need to see the bigger picture, I guarantee you some of my listeners need to see the bigger picture too, because they might be either spiraling or getting caught up in the weeds themselves. And so today, that's what we're going to talk about. But we're going to talk about it in a different and unique way. I'm just not going to tell you what the big picture is, but I'm going to share it with you in a way that I hope allows you to kind of grab onto it, where you can apply it the next time you find yourself getting all caught up in the weeds and you can't find your way out. So today we're going to go deep into a concept that I hope will shift your mindset in a way that maybe you might not accept or expect, really. At least that's my intention for today. So we're talking about the bigger picture, why you need to see it more often, and what happens when you don't. If you've ever felt stuck in the details of your life, overwhelmed by the day-to-day, or constantly battling stress over things that really in hindsight weren't worth your energy, then this episode is for you. So let's get into it. The truth is, most of us are operating from a place of tunnel vision. We get so caught up in the weeds of our lives, emails, deadlines, family drama, grocery lists, bills, and all the pressures that come with all of that we forget to lift our heads and ask the fundamental questions. Why am I doing this? Where is this leading me? And is this aligned with my greater purpose to act and think in this way? I was sitting at my desk last week feeling really overwhelmed, like I was telling you before. I was deep into the weeds of certain things, and I fell captive to my ego and its horrible limiting beliefs. All of the fears that I thought I had buried came up to the surface. All of the limiting beliefs I had of myself that I thought I had eliminated showed up again and felt like I couldn't escape the grasp of what my mind was thinking. It was the strangest thing. I mean, I felt this before, but not this strongly. The energy of this month, March, was really, depending on when you're listening to this, really challenging for most of us. And in all honesty, I had no clue how difficult it was going to be. It pushed all of us to some sort of edge. And with 2 eclipses and Venus in retrograde and Mercury in retrograde, along with some other, I'm sure other planets, they were doing something. Holy crap, like what a month. And I know for me, it's felt like I have shed layer after layer after layer and have had to pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot. And ultimately, I have just kind of surrendered. And sometimes you just have to do that when there's nothing else that you can do. I mean, this month we're being squeezed from all angles and pushed to finally abandon all of those aspects and versions of ourselves that are old and outdated that we didn't even realize we were keeping around. And we're being prepared for our lives to be lived in more alignment than ever before. That's what all of this is about. So it's not to make us feel like shit. It's like, oh no, you're getting ready for an upgrade. So it is time to clean house in all ways, head to toe. So that means that we've all got to look at the stuff that we've kept around in our lives for comfort's sake. The people, objects, beliefs, etc., etc., etc. Whatever we drag with us from the past, listen to this, y'all, this wisdom right here. Whatever we drag with us from the past just makes our journey that much more difficult. So we get caught up in the weeds. As I was journaling one of the days a couple of weeks ago, I was asking God to help reframe a racing thought that I had. And believe it or not, I still get stuck. I've done a lot of work and I will always have to be doing work because I still get stuck. And what I've realized is that Spirit will always test us, anybody who believes that you have truly let go of something. God will bring that back around. And you'll know whether or not you've mastered something depending on how you respond to it. Okay? So I was journaling the other day, and I was asking for a reframe, right? And it occurred to me that I was allowing myself to get stuck worrying and in the weeds, and that I needed to pan back and see my life from a greater distance. And it would be this action that would allow me to feel relief from all of the beating up that my mind was doing. My ego was really, really stealth at that. So seeing the bigger picture is what allows me and you to move beyond reaction mode and into what I call creation mode. And it's what shifts you from feeling stuck in the moment to understanding how each moment plays a role in your greater journey. Now, when you start seeing your life as a full masterpiece instead of a series of fragmented brushstrokes, everything changes. You become more intentional. You start making decisions that align with your highest self rather than choices that simply maintain the status quo. You get out of survival mode and into presence. So just remember, whenever you're getting caught up in the weeds of things, you're in survival mode. And the only way to kind of pull out of that, two ways really, is to regulate your nervous system and develop a practice around that. I know I have. And second is to pan back and look at the bigger picture. So I will admit that I often fail to catch myself when I'm deep in the weeds until I'm so stressed out. I don't know about y'all, but I'm so stressed out for days at a time sometimes that I realize, oh my God, Janis, this isn't your normal. What are you doing right now? Get out of your head and look at this differently. Find a way. So it's then that I realize that my body has been sending me signals all along to alert me that I'm in this resourceless state. I wanted to share some of those with you in case you're experiencing any of them because I had to learn this the hard way. In other words, I had to learn it through my own education of it, not because anybody said, oh, by the way, Janice, when your body acts like this, you're freaking out and you don't need to. So consider this your sign that you need to see the bigger picture if you're experiencing any of these things. So how do you know if you're lost in the weeds, right? So here's some of the body cues and emotional signs that I believe go on with me, and I'm going to assume that maybe they go on with you, and if maybe you have other ones that you want to add. But these felt true for me. This might be telling you, your body using some of these ways might be telling you to pan out, to chill out, to take a breath, and to step back and go, okay, why am I getting caught up in this way? To really look at that. So you might get tightness in your chest because you're carrying stress like armor. Your breathing might be shallow. You're in a constant state of urgency, right? I got to figure this out. Maybe your stomach is just gripped with knots because you don't feel like you can resolve whatever it is you're going through. Maybe you have headaches or fatigue. Your mind feels overwhelmed with micromanaging everything. Maybe you're irritable. Who has not been that way when you've been stressed? I have. You get irritable over the small things because you're over identifying with minor issues. Maybe you're feeling like there's never enough time and you're being squeezed by time. You're stuck in survival mode rather than seeing the grander timeline of your life. And you're worrying and worrying and worrying. And it might look like you can't sit still, you can't focus, and can't concentrate, and you can't use your mind to find solutions. And you can't get yourself grounded and calm your nervous system down enough to feel safe. You see, when we get caught in the weeds and our body starts to freak out, that is our signal that we are not feeling safe inside ourselves. So the very first thing you got to do, and I'm going to give you some tips and tricks, right? But the very first thing you've got to do is develop a practice of self-regulation. I will get into that. But if any of these resonate, just take a deep breath right now. This is your reminder. You are not meant to just get through life. You're meant to move through it feeling powerful. So why is it so hard to step back and see the big picture? Well, for one, our brains are wired for survival. We're designed to focus on immediate threats and problems because back in the day, missing a detail could mean life or death, right? Caveman times. But here's the thing, we're not running from saber-toothed tigers anymore. So why do we, now that we aren't in imminent danger, still fall prey to sweating, not just the small stuff, but everything? The way I see it, there are a number of reasons why we tend to focus too much on the small stuff. So some of us may have control freak syndrome, where we believe that if we can control all the details, we can control the outcome. In other words, your anxiety has gotten the best of you, and you find it hard to stay present and grounded and in flow. Another one is the fear of unknown. We all struggle with this one, where you're focusing on the big picture means embracing uncertainty, and that scares the shit out of most of us. Perfectionism. We think every tiny thing has to be just right before we move forward. In other words, we rarely ever do. The next one is emotional attachment, where we get too wrapped up in the microdramas of life and we're attached to the outcome. And the desired outcome, if it happens or not, determines how we feel. And the societal conditioning. We are trained to measure success by daily productivity, not long-term fulfillment. But here's the breakthrough. The moment you let go of the need to micromanage every detail, you give yourself the freedom to move forward to something greater. Okay, so I want to help you get into the how of this. And nobody's ever broken this down for me, so I thought I would break it down for you because I guarantee you at some point you're going to get caught up in the weeds, and you're going to get caught up in the weeds so much that you're going to feel kind of out of your mind, like, oh my God, I can't handle anything. So let's get into the how. If you're ready to zoom out and start living from a place of clarity, here is a simple process to help you shift your perspective. First, this is so paramount. That's why it's the first step. Pause and breathe. I have had over the years to learn to cultivate this practice. I've had to cultivate a practice of paying attention to what my body's telling me. And then I pause and I breathe in and I breathe out. So before you react, before you get all freaked out, or if you've been freaking out, pan back, pause and breathe. Take a deep breath. I want you to put one hand on your chest and the other hand on your abdomen. Take a breath in through your nose and fill your belly up. And you push your belly out and hold your breath for 6 seconds. And on the exhale, slowly breathe out of your mouth for the count of 8 and pull your belly in. Again, breathe in for 6, pushing your belly out. Exhale for 8 slowly. Do this as many times as you need to, as many times as it takes to calm your nervous system down. And you'll know when you have calmed because you'll feel differently. Your engine doesn't feel like it's running on high. And then ask yourself this question: is this moment as big as my mind is making it to be? And the second is, if the answer is no, ask, how else can I see the situation that allows me to feel powerful? And then just wait. Wait for the answer. Allow your body to continue to feel the nice, calm breaths. And notice what ideas come up in your mind. Now, the next question, the next step is one of the things that I always pride myself on doing. Questions are powerful. They are solution finders. And so asking the right questions can truly make or break how you move forward. Now, these are 3 journal prompts that, if you tend to be in the weeds of things, are going to help you sift through your process and help you understand whether or not you being stuck in the weeds is useful for you. Okay? First is, and you can write these down if you want: if I look at my life 5 years from now, will this issue still matter? Now, you may be able to answer that very quickly without writing anything down, but some of you may not. So maybe you take a pen and some paper and write your answer. The second question is, what is this moment teaching me about myself? I love that question because it's open, right? It's open-ended, and you can just vomit all over your paper and write down all the things that you're learning. The next question is, where are my thoughts coming from? Am I focused on egoic thoughts of fear, worry, and panic? Or am I having thoughts that are helpful, thoughts that allow me to feel good, powerful, and safe? Only you know how you think, and only you know how to become more aware of what you think and whether or not you take the time to become aware of what you think. Your thoughts run on autopilot, and if you don't consciously create them, they're going to run autopilot you into the ground, So I say consciously create from a place of awareness what you think, how you feel, and what you do. The third step in this process is reconnect with your vision. I'd like you to take 5 minutes each morning to visualize your highest self, your future self, the one who's got it all, right? Because that version of yourself has already been through what you've been through, right? And I will go ahead and say your higher self is your future self, because it's that part of you that is so smart, that knows it all already. What does your future self care about? Answer that question. What is your future self working towards? Connect with your future self's energy and ask your future self what it needs you to know today and what steps it needs you to take today. That's it. I will tell you this, one of the things that I have found that helps me the most is when I feel anxious. There are times where I wake up, I'll wake up early in the morning, I'll come to my desk in my office, and I feel so caught up because my plate's full. And I feel my body like jacking all the way up, right? Anxious, anxious, anxious. And then I remind myself, wait a minute, I don't need to feel this way. Let me back up. So I do my breathing and I say, okay, God, Spirit, Universe, Source, what's my first step? And then I just keep asking that and taking the step, ask and take the step, ask and take the step. And this way, I don't feel like I am the only one dealing with what I've got to deal with during the day. Does that make sense? The fourth step is seeking a perspective. Talk to a mentor, a coach, or even a friend who's been where you want to go. Other people's experiences, it can give you insight beyond your current frame of reference. In other words, you can't outthink yourself, but other people who've gone through what you've gone through or who have a different way of looking at things can often help you shift your perspective. Maybe you need to listen to some podcast episodes that get your mind right, or maybe find your favorite inspirational person on Instagram, YouTube, or anywhere else. Always make the effort to find something that redirects your focus to something true and good feeling. And I'm not talking about escaping and not facing your responsibilities. What I am saying is get out of your freaking head, like I have had to get out of my freaking head. Go find people that inspire you, uplift you, motivate you, so that you can get back on track and get back into alignment. Because anytime we're caught in the weeds, we are not in alignment with where we truly need to be. The fifth step is practice the 80-20 rule. 80% of your energy should go towards the things that actually move the needle in your life. Identify what those things are, and the 20%, let it go. Writing a list matters. It will help, I promise. I just want to remind you that you can totally gain control of your thinking mind. If I can do it, you can do it. This is the root cause of your emotional struggles, period, end of story. This is what gets you in the weeds. The beliefs that are underneath your fears and worries are the things that are causing you pain. You are way more than your to-do list. You are way more than the daily stressors that try to steal your peace. Your life is unfolding in ways you cannot always see, and you won't always see. But when you step back and you breathe and you regulate your nervous system and you get calm, then you can more easily lean into trusting the greater vision that the universe has for you. And you will realize everything is happening in your favor. The more awareness you can develop, the more aware you can be that everything is happening in your favor. I heard somebody say this just the other day, and it resonated so deeply with me that I have to share it with you. If you're going to choose to struggle, why not choose to struggle with something that moves you forward? I love that. Love it. So if this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who needs to hear this message today. And if you're ready to start shifting into a bigger, bolder version of yourself, let's connect. I'd love to hear what breakthroughs you've had from today's episode. Please, by all means, shoot me an email, write your comment on my YouTube channel. I'd love to hear. Remember, you know what? You can be in control of your mind quicker than you realize. Life isn't about freaking out, rushing, and feeling overwhelmed. It actually can really be experienced in a very calm, strategic way, in flow. I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend, and be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.